as usual, finished with a bit of a cliffhanger last time, with Girl having decided that she was going to bury Sunfox and taking his body off through the early morning.
I wasn't sure if the purported. Did you do your miracle check already, or were you going to combine that with the dearly departed ritual?
Did do the miracle check. Be the guidance.
That's right. So you made your roll. Yeah. Okay.
Uh-huh.
And the advice was to follow Aaron's way to not be such kind of to Girl's mind. He has kind of put together that okay, what needs to happen now, and Taryn bearing. So Girl is from that miracle to kind of go and Sunfox.
What else was going on? Meanwhile, in another part of the town, what had happened? Shining Star had, and Christabel had a run-in with Morningstar, the suspicious Undersealy agent assassin, but persuaded him to go away, and with the proviso that he had asked you to hand over various incriminating documents to Hillfolk representative. But Moon's Glow is still with you, and perhaps hasn't run off with her unsuitable Byronic boyfriend. That would be a plus. And Christabel had been approached by a strange goat lady who wanted a favour and help finding abducted orphans. What else? I suppose I should say it seems possible that various people will try and leave the city at some point this evening, which is fine and good. You might at some point want to roll dice to get a sense of where it is and where your options are in terms of going. I might have a map I've drawn somewhere and scanning. As you resolutely continue to split the party, which is fine, as far as I'm concerned. Let me know how that goes for you lot, I suppose. Is what I'm saying. Right. Anything anyone else wanted to say, or I've forgotten? There are a few other things hanging around from earlier bits of adventures, various annoyed outlaws, things like that. At one point, Shining Star composed a song about peace, which I feel...
I made 2 songs. I wanted to remind you about that. I'm glad you brought that up.
Oh, okay.
The first song was called The Forgotten Peace and was based on Christabel's discussion of what it had been like to live in the nomad hillfolk borderlands when nobody was being, a demagogue. And then the second song was called The Hero and was effectively a presentation of Modthrith's worldview as expressed to Christabel during the interrogation scene, and is somewhat like interviewing, I don't know, Eric Prince. You just kind of say what he says and let it speak for itself, and someone else is going to say, you're misrepresenting my man Eric, and you're just saying, hey, I'm quoting the dude. He is crazy. So it's a little bit like that. It's kind of like, this is what she says. And so those are the 2 songs that I've made. I have not yet had much of a chance to be Little Miss Troubadour with them.
Indeed. I'm eagerly awaiting the performances, particularly because you rolled at least one of them I remember was a superior composition.
Right. The first one was superior, and the second one I can't remember precisely, but it wasn't bad. It was better than passable.
What was the skill that you rolled for those?
I have I shall find it.
Or
It's artistry. The get out my documents. Yes, it is artistry, in which I have an 11. If I had a better knowledge, which I could pose as a bard or minstrel or whatever it is they're called in the type. But my knowledge is insufficient for that character type. So my character is in setting a musician, but story-wise, she's a spy.
Okay. And anything else? Christabel had acquired is trying to take ownership of Moon's Glow's puppies.
Yeah.
As a reminder of various other things that hang around. Are we ready to get started, or is there anything else we need to recap on, or anything you want to remind me of, or anything?
Yeah, I think we're ready.
Right, let's start with Girl pushing a hand cart with a wrapped up Sun Fox in the corpse of Sun Fox towards the gate, the southern gate of Smith City. As you near the gate in the early morning, you can see it's open. There's a few guards hanging around. They mainly seem to be trying to prevent people from coming in from outside. Hillfolk refugees coming in to clutter up the streets of Smith City. Would you like to?
do I the divination spell? Is that correct?
You do.
I was thinking I might immediately draw upon that to kind of divination to see what would happen if I just acted like I was supposed to be doing with this cart and just kind of come through that gate the other direction. I mean, could I use my divination to make this more difficult than what I need to? Maybe I just,
No, it's fine. It's very sensible. So it's a good excuse to walk through how spells work. You want to, you tell me what you want to get out of casting a spell. The referee says that sounds like a reasonable use of that particular spell skill. How will it go if I just walk on through? Seems like a thing you can get, and then sets a cost. Which I am going to set as there are various criteria for this, which mainly which go from how large scale is the effect, or how extensive is the effect, or how big is the effect, the range of it, which is basically says you can't short circuit adventures by casting a spell from the entrance to the dungeon to kill the big bad at the far end of it, because that would be really expensive, sort of logic. And how many people might be affected by it. Since this is, I suppose, affecting a handful of guards hanging around the gate, is a relatively small question you want an answer to from your divination, and you are relatively close. I'm going to set that cost as 1 spell point. The way that would then work is you knock 1 off your spell skill, take the new value and use that to roll on the action results table, and as everything else, we get a result. For spells generally, the main effect of how well you roll is how long it lasts. But that's not really relevant for a roll like this. So it will be more widely in terms of how much information you get and how or how little information you get depending on how well you roll, things like that. Now we run into the problem, which is I was going to use what sort of roll you do and how well it goes to decide how difficult it was to get out of the system, because that's not a good way to do it. But I guess we'll find out what happens when you roll the dice and see what vintage you get. The other thing I should say, and you may not want to do it now, but there are potentially ways to reduce the costs of spells when you cast them. If you, say, want to cast a huge divination spell to know what's going to happen far into the future or far away or something, I wanted it to be cheaper. The main ways of bringing down the cost are either do it as a ritual, get other people to help you out, chanting or holding candles or doing, I don't know, whatever strange things you want to do in a divination ritual. There are rules about how many people you can do and how it works, and we will look into if that becomes appropriate at some point. Or there are contextual reasons why you might be able to reduce it. The book gives examples of locations or times and things like that. I'm inclined to broaden it out to say if a girl is taking psychoactive substances in order to help her divination, that would probably bring down the cost as well. Which is far more detail we need to go into for you to roll a couple of dice and see if you can sneak through outside of the city. Let's go for it and see what happens.
And just to clarify, the spell cost goes off
before
subtracting that, right?
Yeah. So you take the cost of one, take it off your skill. It will come back at the end of the adventure. I'm not sure how we're defining the end of the adventure, but we'll worry about that when we get to it.
Wow.
Oh, it'll be fine.
Catastrophic.
Oh, well, okay. So I perhaps should have warned that catastrophic spell results have entirely unnecessary extra disbenefit, which is that because I will read the paragraph. Magic warps the laws of nature, and fooling with nature is not without its dangers. If the player's roll to cast the spell is catastrophic, the spell user must immediately reduce the spell skill he attempted to use by, and there's a roll of fate to determine how many points you lose. And those are just wasted points that disappear. This strikes me as entirely unfair and mean as a rule, but we're playing by the book, and that's what the rule says.
It's kind of like I shall make a brilliant magic system, and then I will put in all these things so it doesn't do much.
Yes, yeah. Right. So you are rolling a fate roll versus brain.
Okay.
Oh, that's brutal. Not even passable.
Oh, no, because it's... because it's fate versus great, we count up from whatever the result is to great, and that gives you a result. So the closer he gets to that, the less he will lose. So it's rigged to probably mean you're going to lose something.
Yeah, girl is not starting off well. So I rolled with my fate. I rolled a inferior.
Oh, okay. So
it's like
counting up lots of sums.
Yeah.
1, 2,
including
3.
the column, because that's how you do these things, right?
Including both of them. That's 5, as I make it. So you would lose 5 times 2 points of
like divination. All of it. Yeah.
What?
I imagine that's all your divination gone. It will come back at the end of the adventure.
I know, but that's it for you, man. There's no magic for you for the rest of this session.
Now, do I also put a check by that, though? I mean,
will
I get to...
Oh, absolutely, yes. That's a catastrophic failure, and therefore you get to check and see if you can. So,
all right, mechanically, this is just awesome, and I just want to say that I freely give up the next half hour of the session with my mouth shut, just to enjoy whatever Ross is going to make of this.
Oh, so, tell me more about your divination casting. Because clearly you can't... Well, you could just close your eyes and wish and see what's going to happen. But I feel that's underselling girls' commitment to getting out-of-body experiences. So, assuming you pulled up in a relatively dark alleyway near to the gate out of the city. What
Yeah.
was Girl doing in order to cast this spell?
I think that what girl's mind, this spell, her mind, or to the miracle that she was resorting to, that there's like an overlap in her mind between what she's doing now and that kind of miracle that was asking for guidance. But I do think with this spell, asked the intense mind imaging that goes on, where she's, you know, almost has a kind of visual hallucination that's going on as she imagines herself walking through that gate to kind of get a sense of, and is kind of seeing the other people around her as she goes through the gate with this kind of visual hallucination. And I think while she's doing this, I mean, I think it does require her to be some intense concentration. I mean, that she kind of has to move off to the side, and she's kind of looking intently at the gate that she has this question about. And I mean, seems to be somebody from who would look at her would see her in something of a trance state as she does this.
Okay, cool. And you said visualizing all the people around the gates, the guards, the idle beggar around the side, the hill folk, refugees who want to come in and try and find a day's work so they can feed their families and slightly more than the thin gruel they can scrounge together outside. And these faces are now all and people. The space between you and there, Constantine is up almost in your vision. You're suddenly surrounded by them, faces peering in at you, faces of people that suddenly open mouth in horror at the. And you look down at your hands, which are still covered in blood, as they were in when Saharin's ghost was terrorizing you earlier. Clearly, echoes of that are still hanging around in your subconscious and coming through. And as you scream out in your hallucinatory divination and in reality, and guards come to find out what's going on and are now taking more of an interest in you than you would perhaps like, given you are trying to push a dead body out of the city. I'm going to be relatively kind and say that although they have approached you, they haven't necessarily even discovered you have a body in the cart yet, but are taking a lot of interest and about to start poking around in it. What you want to do?
So I guess as girl comes out of the trance, I see the guards approaching. How many guards are there?
There are 2. It's not heavily guarded. They're really just there to stop people undesirables getting in. And they are just human, light leather armor and a spear sort of guards. They are the sort of guards who get dispatched in 2 seconds in film or by scary, terrifying, wolfing ladies.
So I think girl will let go of the cart and move towards those guards, and I guess girl will try to be as natural as she can. She will try to say, is this the morning? Is that the time of day we're at right now?
Okay, so one of them is like, we heard a scream. Are you okay? Did something happen?
Yeah, I had just remembered that I had left behind some tools that I was hoping to take with me.
Okay, let's make that a roll because I don't know how to respond to that.
There's a roll for that.
This seems like a lie.
Yeah, I'm not very good at lying.
Have a go. We'll see what happens.
Okay. This also, because my lie score is a 2. This is also
Oh.
catastrophic.
She is. Oh well, Mark.
Ross,
I'm gonna check
Ross.
against catastrophic.
Ross, this is a
Yeah.
two-handed dwarven hammer on the player character moment. I need to see this. This is
Indeed.
what it's for.
This must be the moment where he is looking bemused about why you would scream about tools you've forgotten. His friend, who's like helpfully looking in the cart for the missing tools, and instead reveals a now not entirely aromatically pleasing and very obviously dead body in your cart. And they have the presence of mind to immediately call for help and shout. And the inquisitive guard literally screams in panic because he's not used to dead bodies in carts. And the other one lowers his spear towards you in a deep suspicion. Perhaps you'd like to explain what the hell is going on.